Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. On this episode with Mediahood, we'll be discussing about communication. Now, a lot of us engage in the practice of communicating, which involves sharing messages day, night, and even all through. But one important thing about communicating is the fact that a lot of people are yet to come to terms with what it means to communicate. Now, let's go into discussing the basics of communicating. Number one, let's start with a discussion on what the definition of communication is. So, I'll define communication for you before we go on. Communication is simply defined as the sharing of meaningful message. Communication involves not just talking about anything, but sharing meaningful message. So if you're talking to somebody and the person is yet to understand what you're talking about, you're yet to communicate. And you see the bad thing about that? If a person cannot understand what you're saying, it means they cannot also give you a reply, which means you're talking to yourself. Have you ever wondered why people will say to themselves or talk about friends and colleagues during conversation that I am talking to myself? Why are you not responding? It hurts. So you must ensure that you're able to communicate. That is why, if you check the origin of the word communication, it derives from the word commune. And what commune simply means is like forming a community of people who share similar variables with which they communicate or with which they share messages. Now, let's see why it is important for communication to be established. First, you have to understand that for you to share or for you to communicate, there has to be the following. There has to be the following. There has to be a sender and there has to be a receiver. I would illustrate that with the aid of this diagram. You have the sender and you have the receiver. Now, assuming that two persons are involved in a communication and we see this line here, the arrow pointing both to the sender and the receiver, there are some things and variables common between these two sets of persons. It's just like this is a boyfriend, and guess what? This is the girlfriend. The boyfriend and the girlfriend are about to communicate. Now let's see the beauty of how what they say would make them share meaning, especially commonality in meaning. The first thing is when the boyfriend decides to send or to say something to the girlfriend, he first does encoding. He encodes the message. Encoding the message actually involves putting it in a manner that he thinks the girlfriend will be able to understand, because everything we talk and share, they are codes. We share meaning that we have to first of all code whatever we needed to say. Those who are in the technology aspect understand what we mean by code. However, because a meaning is actually what somebody has to first conceive, you have to establish code. So the boyfriend would encode his message. The process where he's thinking about what he needed to tell his girlfriend is encoding. Now, when he encodes, the message then travels to the girlfriend. And when the girlfriend gets it, the girlfriend decodes. The girlfriend decodes by saying, take for example, the young man says, I love you. And when it gets to the girlfriend starts thinking about the different things that the young man has been doing for her, probably taking her on a shopping spree, or probably trying to spend on her, or probably promising that unexpected trip. And you know what? It might just be about him fighting for her when she's facing a very dangerous situation. So by the time she gathers all the information of what he has done for her in her head, she then able to decode the message. And by the way of decoding, she then says, oh, it's true. He loved me. Then she decides to do what? She decides to encode again. because she now wants to communicate it in the manner that she likes. When she encodes her message, the line now travels back to the sender, which is in this case the boyfriend. And when it travels back to the boyfriend then decodes. So you can see why people always say communication is a two-way street. It's a two-way street because it doesn't involve one person. Even if you are dealing with a group, you have to say something for the other people to respond to you. And their response would enable you to plan ahead. So take, for example, the boyfriend or the sender has understood that, oh, the girlfriend got the message and decided to reply. And he was able to decode that this is the moment when you now see him smile and show those wonderful grin on his face, or those wonderful expressions that actually tells the girl that, oh, the message is reassuring. Now, in the process of sending this message, when the boy encodes and this message travels, something happens in the middle here. Guess what? A lot of things happen in the middle here, because this is actually where the message travels. You've heard people say the medium is the message. Because the medium is the message, you're not talking about this mid-range point. What is involved in the messages? Part of what is involved in the message is the fact that we're looking and talking about what the medium is. It's a beautiful thing, right? Because of our age and where we are, the medium can be this. It can be the social media handle or the Facebook chats that the boyfriend is having with the girlfriend. It can be a face-to-face conversation. Yeah, face-to-face. Imagine the beauty of that. I wrote 2 in number, face-to-face conversation. It can be via fax. It can be via email. And a host of other medium. Now, when the message travels between the boyfriend and the girlfriend, of course, do remember that the boyfriend is the sender in this regard and the girlfriend is the receiver. And when the message is about to travel, either one of them can switch roles. But when all of this happens in the middle, talking about the message traveling, something is likely going to happen in this point too. What can happen at this point is simply what we consider to be noise. Oh my God, it's getting noisy. I can hear him. I can hear anything. Namaste. That is where noise comes in. Take, for example, the sender who is about to send a message to his girlfriend is seated in a park. And when he decides to say, I love you, a big trailer just drove by and he heard the sound. You know what may happen there? The likelihood of the lady, the girlfriend, getting the message may be reduced because the message would be then distorted. So I love you then becomes a problem, and she would have to struggle to actually understand what it means. Maybe in that regard, what ended up getting to the girlfriend's ear, who happens to be the receiver, is love. She might just start wondering, why would you decide to tell me an independent word? And she might also request for the boy to repeat what he had said. But you know that's quite an embarrassing situation sometimes. So when she says, I'm sorry, I can't hear you, and probably that may have been the first time the boy is just summoning courage to actually transmit that message to his lover. He may become shy, thinking that the girl just needed to mock him or just wanted to hear him say that repeatedly, quote unquote, if he is man enough. So the young man may decide to not say anything at all. You see where the problem comes in? The conversation of noise. Now, there are different types of noise which we will be treating in subsequent videos. But however, this is what makes communication happen. This is the common trajectory communication travel. And remember that communication is about sharing meaning. If meaning is not shared, communication is not achieved. That is why when the trailer drove by and caused that noise, I want to draw a trailer. Let's see. Oh, goodness Lord, what did I come up with? Wow, look at that. This is a 1942 convertible. Okay, so when the trailer drove by and caused this noise, and the lady ended up not hearing what the young man has to say, you can see that noise has actually played a role in that. So, just to give you a tip of the iceberg, that particular noise that happened is what may likely be called environmental noise. Environmental noise, because it came from an environment, probably the truck moving by, brrr, and all of that. So basically, you must understand that when you're sharing meaning, you're sharing codes. And that's why we encode and we decode. I hope you've been able to learn what it actually means for you to communicate, share messages between yourself and other people. Always remember that there are two sets of persons involved when communication is about to happen: the sender and the receiver. Thank you very much. And I'm very sure that you've been able to learn something from this episode of talking about the definition. Communicates clearly and respect the people involved in that communication process. I'll see you again in the next episode. Make sure to hit the like button and also subscribe to this channel. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell for more videos of this nature. I'll see you again next time.